My family moved around a lot. Now I know what we were running from. My family and I didn't live like most people. We never stayed in one place for too long, always moving from town to town, sometimes living deep in the woods for weeks at a time. I used to think it was fun, like an endless adventure, but I didn't know then. We weren't just moving around. We were running. We lived in an old RV, and at first I thought it was awesome. I mean, what 9-year-old wouldn't love the idea of living in a home on wheels? One week we'd be by the ocean in Oregon. The next we'd be up in the mountains of Montana. My twin sister Haley and I were always together, homeschooled by our parents, and as close as two siblings could be. It was just us, our parents, and the open road. But we never stayed in popular campgrounds, never parked where other families were hanging out, having barbecues or swimming in lakes. We always found these isolated places, tucked away in the woods or by empty fields, where we wouldn't see another soul for miles. Haley and I didn't question it much. Our parents were overprotective and didn't like crowds. They said they just wanted peace and quiet. But looking back, I should have noticed something was off, especially with how quickly they made us leave when we saw another person. My parents would pack us up and move without any explanation, not even stopping for bathroom breaks sometimes. The first real clue that something was wrong happened when we were in this small town in Northern California. We'd been parked in the forest near this place called Castle Rock for a few days, and Haley and I, being adventurous and mischievous, decided to sneak out one night. It was after midnight, and our parents had fallen asleep. Haley and I crept out through the small window of our RV, armed with nothing but a dim flashlight. The forest was dark and quiet, and the only sound was the crunch of leaves beneath our feet. We didn't go far at first, just far enough to feel like we were on some secret adventure. But then we saw something strange. At first, I thought it was just the reflection of our flashlight. But no, there was a faint glow ahead of us, like a dim fire burning in the distance. We thought it was another camper at first, so we started walking toward it, curiosity getting the better of us. But the closer we got, the more unsettling it became. The light wasn't coming from a campfire. It was coming from a person, a woman. I'll never forget what she looked like. Her hair was long and tangled, some of it falling out in patches. Her skin was pale. No, not just pale, almost blue, like she was frozen or dead. She was wearing this old, torn hospital gown, and when she saw us, she started walking toward us with her arms outstretched. I remember my heart pounding in my chest. Haley grabbed my hand, squeezing it so tight it hurt. The woman was mumbling something, but it was hard to understand, like her mouth wasn't working properly. Ma, she groaned. It was enough to snap me out of my frozen state. Without saying a word, I yanked Haley's arm and we took off, running back to the RV as fast as our legs would carry us. My heart was racing, and I felt like that strange woman was right behind us the whole way. By some miracle, we got back into the RV without waking our parents. We didn't sleep much that night, too terrified to close our eyes. The next morning, things got even weirder. When we stepped outside, the small campfire we had left the night before was completely destroyed. Our chairs, the cans of food we'd left on the picnic table, even the rocks we used to draw with chalk. It was all scattered everywhere. It looked like someone had torn through our camp. But it wasn't just a random mess. It felt deliberate, like whoever did it wanted to send a message. Then we saw it. Written in black charcoal on the back of our RV were the words, "You can't run forever." I felt sick. Haley looked at me with wide, terrified eyes, but we didn't say anything. We were too scared to tell our parents what we had seen or what had happened. Would they even believe us? Later that day, my parents packed us up quickly, not saying much. My dad drove for hours, not stopping for anything, while my mom whispered to him in the front seat. They didn't think we could hear, but I caught bits and pieces of their conversation. "She's getting too close again," my mom said quietly. "We have to keep moving." I didn't know who she was talking about at the time, but I would soon find out. So that night, after driving for what felt like forever, my parents took us to a small diner on the outskirts of some town in Nevada. It was empty, and for a moment, it felt like everything was normal again. I even ordered a root beer float and a cheeseburger, excited for something other than camp food. But as soon as someone else walked into the diner, a man in a trucker hat, my parents stiffened. Without a word, my mom grabbed our hands and we left, abandoning our half-eaten meals. Back in the RV, I couldn't hold it in anymore. Why do we always leave when people show up? Why are we always running? My mom sighed deeply, sitting down next to me and Haley. She looked tired, like she was carrying a weight too heavy for her shoulders. "You're old enough to know the truth now," she said softly. I held my breath. This was it, the truth.